All right, I think I got it, guys. All right, I'm gonna type them out here so you can do it. You might want to take some notes on this. There may be a quiz on this. What we just talked about was the high pressure sodium. High pressure sodium, and it has marked with it has a yellow sticker on the bottom of it, indicate if you roll up on the light. Let's see if I can find it. If you roll up on the light, and it's a sodium vapor boat, can you guys see that light right there? And it's got that yellow 25 on it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, that's going to be the markings on all the fixtures. Sodium is, you can see that's yellow, that's 25. That indicates it's a 250 watt fixture. That is very helpful. Sometimes if they're not attached well from the factory, then you've got to go up there, open the cover up, or look at the bulb and see what size bulb goes in that fixture or lamp. That's what you call them, a lamp, not a bulb, but it's a lamp. Very helpful when you're trying to determine what size of light you got to work with. And sometimes I've run into this with a lot of the newer guys, especially since Duke contracted out the lighting part of their repair part of their program. And I had to go behind a bunch of those guys for the first year because they didn't have an understanding that a mercury bulb will not work in a sodium lamp will not work in a mercury bulb, a metal halide bulb will not work in a sodium, and so forth. They were just going up there sticking bulbs in and, you know, not really fixing that light for the customer. So until we got a training program going and got those guys on a good understanding of what was going on, what they needed to do, finally got that fixed there. A minute ago, with that sodium vapor arc, with that fixture right there, that bulb is yellow. You can see right here in the middle. That's kind of like what they look like inside. Very similar. That arc tube right here, like I said, whenever electricity is introduced into the ballast, that voltage jumps up real high to draw an arc inside this tube. And over time, and this does, most lamps do have a little bit of mercury in them, that gas will actually leak out through these connections in this bulb. And it'll actually start turning the inside of that lamp silver, or it may turn it a darker color. It may be, you know, just black on the inside. And that bulb will come, like I said, guys, it'll come on, it'll get hot, it'll shut off, it'll cool down, it'll restrike, it'll burn for maybe 15 minutes. And as through the age of that bulb, as it strikes an arc inside, it's steady losing gas. So like I said, these newer sodium vapor fixtures with the lamps, they just don't last like the old ones. All right, let's move on to, that's high pressure sodium. All right, then we're going to go to low pressure sodium. Same thing. We at Duke, we did not have the low pressures. I think Santee Cooper does them. This fixture will be green. Okay, it'll have a green sticker on it, just like the high pressure sodium. All right, guys, the next one we're going to go to is a metal halide. Did I spell that right? Halide, guys, and that sticker will be red. And a couple different things with the metal halide. It has some, you'll see some with a half red, half white sticker, or a solid red sticker. That is actually two different eras of metal halide when they started. When they started out, it was a just a solid red, and then they went to a half red, half white, and what that was, it was a fast strike arc inside of that lamp in that fixture. And it's kind of weird. They're both metal halide, but one bulb, the solid red fixture, the bulb for it will not work in the high arc fixture, the red and white. But anything that you see that's got red or red and white together, then that's a metal halide fixture. Okay. The next one is a white or clear looking white or clear. I'm sorry, guys. It's going to be an LED, and that's white or clear. That's what everybody's going to now. You can see around the school, if you guys pay attention to looking around, especially in the towns too, they're starting to change out all the high pressure sodiums or the metal halides, and they're going with these LEDs. They are way more efficient. The difference with a metal halide, and let me see if I can pick one out here. This one is right here. That's a 400 watt metal halide fixture, and you can see they're flat. They lay flat when you put them up, and they're designed to what they call a forward throw light. They're very, very efficient. I have one in my yard that I got from Duke. Before I left, it was one that they don't recycle a whole lot. They just simply scrap these fixtures. And I asked if I could have it, and of course they said yes. So I've got a nice decorative LED light that I fixed and put it in my yard, and it works great. They don't use a whole lot of current. They're energy efficient. They're just a good all around. It's a bright light. There's many different sizes of the LED, but they will have, let me see if I can find it on here for you. No. Don't see one, but anyway, I was looking for one with the white sticker on it. That one doesn't have it either. Come on, get off of that. No. All right, but that's what that one is, and we will go back to, that's a white or clear. And how you like on the high pressure sodium sticker, the yellow sticker, it's got a number on it. The lowest one I think I've seen out there that we did was a 50 LED, and that's either a floodlight or a open fixture. All right, and the last one, and you will not see these anymore. These were phased out, and it's a mercury vapor, and it had a blue fixture. And like I said earlier, guys, they've done away with the mercury vapor because the bulb was consumed with mercury. I just tell you straight up, when I started, a bunch of guys I worked with, we were about the same age, and the servicemen would come in and they'd have all these old bulbs on the back of the truck, and we'd go to the trash can and we'd bust them all just to hear them pop. You know, it's kind of like one of those big fluorescent fixtures, the big long tubes, and you like to pop them. Well, we did that with bulbs, and we were stupid and didn't realize.
Mercury gas will kill you.
Yeah, no kidding. we're out there busting all these bulbs and stuff, and that's exactly right. That stuff is not good for you, and it's not good for the environment. So, and that's one of the reasons why they've done away with all these incandescent bulbs. That it's just because of the gases that are in them and the mercury, and I mean they have a lot of harmful stuff in them. But the mercury, worst of all, the government made us do away with them probably 10 plus years ago, and we didn't go through a wholesale change. We just kind of went out there, and as they would fail in service, we replace them with a high pressure sodium, the yellow. But the customers, they preferred that white light over the yellow light, so we we'd have to go back and pacify them maybe with the metal halide. That was a white light. And then, of course, the LEDs came into play, and that's a real clear light, and it's a really good light, and the customers like that as well. So you guys got any questions about the color coding on these light fixtures? Very easy to recognize. There. Let's see. You can see, like right on this picture to the right, that L29 right there, that's the white sticker that's on a metal halide. That's how you can tell that that's a metal halide. But you can tell also that the light straight up under it is not, just by design. It does not have the circuit board, and that's what generates the light in these LEDs. It's just a very small circuit board, and it is so bright. I mean, whoever designed that, they're millionaires right now, because that's an awesome light that they designed. All those little, you see all the little indentions in there. That's a small little chip, probably maybe as big as your little fingernail on your hand there. I mean, it's very tiny, and you line all those up and plug them in. I mean, you've got a really bright light. Any questions or comments about the lighting part? I mean, the color code of the fixtures. You guys want to take a break?
Them Eggo waffles are calling my name, Chief.
All right, let's be back about 9:50, guys, and we'll go through the rest of this.
Sounds good.
Professor. And then that GoAb, is that gang operated, ground operated? This one
Ground. And you could probably say it's gang operated as well, because it's operated, that switch opens all three phases up at one time. So, but go with the ground operated. You won't be counted wrong if it's the other way. All right, guys, let's go ahead and start back. We got a little bit more information to go through on lighting. We talked about the color codes on the outside of the fixtures that determine whether it's a mercury vapor, sodium vapor, LED, metal halide, or whatever, and then it has a number on the inside of that sticker to tell you what size it is. We talked about that a few minutes, so we'll talk about that a little bit more in just a minute. But also, there, just like there's several different types of lights. There are many styles of lights that are out there. The most popular ones, and let me share my screen with you guys again. We'll look at these real quick right here. A lot of them's listed right here. Get my cursor over here. This is the metal halide. It would be a more or less like what we call a shoebox light. And I'm gonna put these up on the board, type it on that Word document in just a minute. We have a rental, which is an open bottom light. These are being phased out rapidly right now because they're the smaller version. The only thing we had left, or there's left out there in that, since they did away with the mercury vapor, would be the sodium vapor, and they are replacing all of those with the LEDs. And you can go buy these lights from any hardware store. You can order them off the line now, but it's more economical for the customer or you to just let the utility come out and put one of their lights on the pole, because you're going to pay a monthly charge for it. And you can see right there on the screen that that light fixture itself is $175 for that. It'll come with one bulb, but over time you're going to have a chance of the photo control on top. It might fail, and then you're going to have to go spend another $5 on a photo cell and put it in. Or if it's not the photo cell, it may be the bulb. You're going to have to go buy a new bulb. Those bulbs are probably, 15, $20 a piece. But if it's happened to be a bad fixture from the factory, the ballast might be burnt up in it, then you're going to have to go spend another $175 on a fixture. But if you have a utility, the utilities come out there and install that light on your property, then only thing you're going to pay, you may have to pay a small deposit, but you'll get that back in a year, and then you'll pay a monthly charge. I think for I've got these sodium vapor lights still in my yard. I've got two of them that look just like this, and one of them's, I don't know why it's two different prices on it, but one of them's $10 a month, and I think the other one's $12 a month. But if there's a problem with it, if it starts cycling or it's out, they don't charge me to come out and fix it. That's part of the contract. They come out, repair it, no charge. If it's a bad fixture, they replace it, no charge. So you're paying for the light itself over time, but it's in my opinion, it's well worth it for you not to have to deal with the frustration of all the repairs on these lights, because things do go bad over time. A Cobra Head fixture, which is, if you can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All the way to the right, what you see right here where my cursor's at, that's what we call a Cobra Head fixture. It kind of resembles a cobra. Okay. Floodlight. Floodlights are, let me see if I can find one here. All right. You see this guy right here? This would be a floodlight, a LED floodlight. They all are very similar. They're all flat on one side. They're straight up, and that's a different one right there. But a floodlight is directional. It'll shine light in one direction. You can change the angle of it to suit the customer's needs. But mostly, when you shine it, when you look at them at night, the light is thrown in front of the fixture, and anything behind that light or that pole where it's mounted, it's going to be dark. Whereas as a fixture like these open bottom, excuse me guys, these open bottom fixtures right here, they shine in a big circle, and they shine all the way around the pole. but it's just going to be right in that little area around the pole. So it really depends on what the needs are. We talked about the shoebox. This would be considered like a shoebox right here. It's a forward throw light. They're designed to, you know, to shine down, but they'll shine out at the same time. And then you've got a LED Cobra Head right here. Yeah, that would be the LED Cobra Head. It looks just like the other Cobra, but it does not have a bulb in it. Panel lights, LED panels are very similar to this, but they're long instead of, you know, wide and flat. They are very long. Okay. No, we're here, Levon. That's it for those lights. Let's see. The panel lights kind of resemble this, but they're more long and flat instead of rounded like the old lights are. But anyways, let's go back to this. And the styles of lights. And we had a rental, which is an open bottom light. And then we had the Cobra Head. Remember what that looked like? Cobra Head. That's what we called an enclosed light. It's enclosed with a glass refractor. All that does is had a glass lens in it, and what it did is just it had little designs or little shapes into that glass, and it would throw light in different directions, just like the open bottom light shined in a circle around the bottom of the pole. The Cobra Head, it kind of threw light out in an egg-shaped pattern. It would kind of throw it forward to the sides, but it was more of a forward throwing light. It was a good design. All right. We talked about the floodlight. Of course, that light is directional. It's yeah. Directional light. It throws light whichever way that floodlight, like down here, whichever way it points, it's going to throw the light in that direction. Okay. We talked about the shoebox, which is this one down right below this. What we talked about with it was it shines light down, but it's also designed to forward throw that light. I mean, it's going to shine straight down, and then it's going to shoot it straight out as well. And then we're going to do a LED Cobra. It's the same design as the Cobra Head up there, but it's a LED. And then we're going to have a LED panel. And that's really the same design as the shoebox, but it's more long than it is wide. Those are used in like road applications, or maybe a parking lot, a small parking lot or something like that. But it's a forward throw light as well, but it's just a little different shape than that shoebox. And then, guys, we had the LED flood. Okay. What they did with the LEDs, they just designed everything just like what the old fixtures are. They just designed them after those other applications to make them look like it. But as you can see in this floodlight, if you can see that, the little yellow squares down in here, guys, that's the little circuit boards, and that's probably no bigger than your fingernail on your hand. And those guys, they are super bright. Duke has a LED flood like this, very similar to this. It's called a 50-watt flood, and it has 4 of these in a square pattern, just like these 4 here. And that's all it is. And that thing is just really so bright. Those little electrodes and circuit boards put off a lot of light. Guys, you got any questions about the styles of lights, what we're talking about here? Just speak up on that, because we're going to move into now the, just like there's so many kinds of lights out there. And let me show you this before we move on to that. I just pulled this up a minute ago. This is what Duke Energy offers as far as lighting goes. This is some of it. And you'll see, like, I think this light that you're looking at here on your screen, if you ride down through Market Common on the sides, I'm pretty sure that this style of light, I mean, and they're pretty close together. There's hundreds of these down there, and these are all, I think those might be, they may be switching them over to LED, but they could be incandescent bulbs. But have this style, you might see a style like that. The one in my yard looks almost identical to this, but it does not have these ribs or bands on the light. It's just a plain white globe on top of it. It's very bright. It's LED. Same styles, and you start getting into the more modern towns that you go to, the larger cities, they'll have these types downtown, especially if there's a lot of trees. They'll start having, and you can see no bulb. You can see the LED at the top, and it shines down, and that's probably a refractor right there, and it just shines that light out. But these towns that have a whole lot of trees in them will have this Sanibel LED. They'll have these types fixtures that actually hang down, you know, kind of close to the tree where it's forcing the light down. And a lot of companies do this because a few years back, a lot of these big cities, you know, traveling down the interstate, you can see the bright lights in the sky at night, and they call that light pollution. And we'll talk about that in just a minute too, a different type of light pollution. But the skies are just lit up at night, and the cities were wanting to reduce the light pollution, so they started designing these lamps where they'll shine light straight down instead of up so much. But it helps out with light pollution. This one, that's the same thing. This is called a teardrop. This is very popular in a lot of towns around. If you ride downtown King Street, down Main Street, that's what you're going to see down in the old part of town. They've gone through and put these on steel poles down here. There's your roadway LED. That would be considered as your panel light. What we talked about a minute ago. And of course, this is what you would find in somebody's yard. That's a 50-watt LED. Instead of the open bottom light, that's what they're putting in, these type. And they're designed to throw the light in a circular pattern around that pole. And then of course you got the shoebox type. Yep, and then they have this, and all, like I said before, all these lights are configured to throw light forward, and that's what the floodlights look like that we used to put up. That one, you put it up on a bracket, you angle it down, and each one of these squares, you can either get a single square, that would be the 50 LED, and then they would have a 100-watt or a 75-watt LED with both of these together. And then this one, if I can remember right, this is comparable to a 400-watt LED out there with all four of these together. So you have options out there for different size lightings. Okay, just like what I said a minute ago, there are so many styles of lights that companies offers out there. There's so many made. You got to have something to mount these on. And there are actually, let's see, types. Did it again, didn't it? Types of poles to mount lights. Guys, what kind of poles do you think are out there to mount lights? Give me some examples that you've seen out there.
Telephone pole.
Yeah, but what are they made out of?
Wood.
Wood. All right, wood's one. What else we got out there?
Metal.
That zinc oxide.
Say it again.
Like the same that hard out of that zinc oxide.
You're kind of breaking up there, Jerry, a little bit.
Zinc oxide, like the same stuff that hardwood made out of, so it don't rust.
No, they don't go to that extreme on it. You'd probably see a steel pole, steel wood pole. I mean, a steel pole out there. You might have an aluminum pole. There's actually 5 different kinds. You probably have a concrete pole. And then what other one would you think they would have out there? It's a whole lot lighter than wood, a whole lot lighter than steel, maybe fiberglass. Fiberglass, that's right. 5 different types of poles out there. Utilities just don't go out there and put poles up for lights. They actually charge for this. If you have to, unless it's a pole that's already existing out there, then there's no charge for it. They just charge for the service of the light. I know at Duke, if we had to go out there and install a wood pole, a 30-foot wood pole and a light, you'd pay the fee for the light, and then you'd pay $2.25 a month for the wood pole along with the light. So if your light was $10 a month and your pole was $2 1/4, so you're paying $12 1/4 for it plus taxes on that, and you pay that forever for however long you had that light. Still,
you gotta pay for the pole forever, or you can just pay it off.
No, you have to pay for it. It's called a rental, is what it is, and they charge you right on for it. So it doesn't seem quite right because you pay over the life of the contract. If you're on a 3-year contract to keep it, after that contract's up, you do have the option to get rid of it if you don't want it. But you'll still continue to pay that charge for the pole and the light itself. So yeah, you're gonna pay it for the life of whenever you have it or whatever. The steel poles are a different price because, of course, steel's probably a little bit more expensive than wood. Aluminum's probably going to be a little bit more expensive with the concrete and the fiberglass. So they all have different prices. And really you get more into that on the engineering side when those guys go out and, talk to customers, especially if it's a store or just like out at the school there, they've got, if you go out there and look, there's so many different kind of lights out there in them parking lots. And each one, the engineer's gone out and set up a design, and they figured up a cost of installing the lights and the poles and those kinds of things. And the school pays a monthly charge on all of that at one time. I know when I used to deal quite close with the town on paying their bills at the time when I first moved over here, and I had a little office in town, and I had a computer, and I'd go in and look and see how much the town's bill was. And I could actually go in, and they broke it down into whatever, like the sewer pumps, those facilities. And then they had a lighting bill on top of that. And they were paying around $10,000 a month for lights in the town itself, in the town of Andrews. And this was a small town, so you can imagine what the larger cities are paying for with the lights. And I'm sure the more larger cities like your Charlottes and Raleighs and even down here, Florence, Myrtle Beach, or whatever, they're paying a hefty amount, but they're going to get a break on it because they're going to have so many lights out there. But it is a money maker for the utilities, and they just monopolize on it. I mean, it's like I said, it's beneficial to the company, and it's beneficial to the customer because the utility has to maintain these lights, and especially if they're under contract, I mean, they got so many days that they have to get in there when the customer calls in. This was like 2 days they got to have this light fixed for the customer because that's, in the contract agreement. So you guys got any questions about the poles, the types of poles, or if you've seen a different type of pole out there, what you might have saw? No?
Those lamps you get in your yard, how do they wire those?
The ones in the area in the yard, they're probably wired up 120 volts.
So would that go underground off of the distribution pole?
Yeah, you can if it comes off, if that's what the customer requires. With Duke, there is an underground charge for that. You have to pay a construction charge, and then you have to pay an extra on top of the light charge, the pole charge. You have to pay a monthly underground charge of, I think it's $3.35 a month extra on top of that. So they're going to get their money back from what they get into it pretty quick, and the customer's going to pay for it. Or they had a plan one time, I'm not really sure if it's still in play or not, but you could pay a one-time charge of $177. Don't ask me where that figure came from. And it would take care of the extra money you had to pay every month, that $335, because that adds up over years if you're going to keep it for a long time. So, yeah, wired up 120, yep, underground. The majority of it is just a little piece of duplex wire that goes overhead, a hot wire and a neutral, and it's connected up to these lights. That's basically what it is. And like I said, that's why they make so much money, because it's a cheap installation. Most of the time it's a 30-foot pole with a light. And like I said before, they bought these lights by the pallet loads, by the truck loads, and they get them at a really good price, and they can make a lot of money because they don't take a lot of current to make them work. Good question, Elijah. Any more questions about that, about the poles and the lighting part of it like that, about the installation and all? Okay. And because what we've kind of touched on this throughout this morning. We talked about the little yellow sticker on it, what it stands for, whether it's yellow, red, and white, blue, green, whatever the color is. There's also a number that is written, like you guys saw, remember on that light. What did I say that light represented? You remember what I said it was?
250 watt.
250 watt. That's correct. There are many kinds, and we're gonna call this wattage on stickers. The first one that and there's about 7 of these on the old lights. You had a 25, so that was a 250. Well, let's start with a 10. What do you think a 10 stands for?
100 watt.
100 watt. If you see that yellow 10, you know that's 100 watt. If you see a red 10, that's still 100 watt. Different kind of bulb, but it's 100 watt. How about a 15?
150.
That would be a 150 watt. Let me get you on this one. How about a 17? If you see a 17 on a light, what's that going to be?
I'll assume it's 170.
Nope. Close. 175.
Oof.
Yeah, they left the 5 off of it on the sticker. 20.
200.
200. We had the 25, which was 250. All right, here's a good one here, 40.
400.
400. All right, now that's pretty much as high as those type bulbs go in these fixtures. If you have one out there you sit and it has an X1, what do you think that is? I know you
10?
missed Whittington. What?
10?
Anybody else want to throw a guess out there?
1,000.
1,000, exactly.
Ah.
That is a 1,000-watt bulb in there. And those got to be right expensive. They were hard to carry on trucks because they were so large and they would break really easy. But like I said, all those are going away now. And I think when I retired, I might have carried maybe where before I might have carried 100 bulbs on my truck, different kinds. When I retired last year, I think I was down to carrying maybe 15 bulbs on my truck for what was left in the field. So, but anyways, that's identifying marks on the bulbs, on the fixtures themselves, and that would play a good role for like what we're going into now is for going into the repairing. When you rolled up onto a customer's yard and they were complaining about the light, you could see before you got in the bucket or you climbed it, you could look up and look at the fixture and see it had a yellow tint on the light, and it was an open bottom light. You knew that was a 100-watt sodium vapor light. You need to get a 100-watt sodium vapor bulb and a photo control and go to work on it. So very helpful. Any questions about that, guys? I know we went through that kind of quick with the wattage and the color stickers on there. LEDs are a lot different than that. Like I said, there'll be the white stickers and it'll say 50 LED, 75 LED, 120 LED. It'll be those kinds of things. Okay, let's talk about repairing. And that's one thing that's you want to call it job security, you can call it what you want. Like I said, Duke went away from their serviceman repairing lights and they contracted it out. I didn't think it was very feasible for them to do that because they really did not train those repairmen very well at all, and they depended on us to go back behind them, and that was costing them double the money to have these lights fixed. So over time, it got better. But I talked to one of my buddies that I worked with very closely the last few years, and he said they were actually working on a program to go back to servicemen doing all the repairs on lights because it was costing them too much money for the contractors to go out there and do it. But over time, especially with these incandescent bulbs that are still left out there, we talked about the gas leaking out of the little tube. They'll start blinking on and off or go completely out. The serviceman will get the order to repair the lights. And one of the first things that a lineman or the line tech or the service tech checks for the light is light pollution. We talked about that a minute ago with the big cities and the light pollution, but the light pollution I'm talking about is if Joe lives next door to Jerry, they both got lights in the backyard, or say Joe's got one and Jerry has one installed, and they don't adjust the photo control right on the new light being installed. And when they both come on at night, because of the proximity of the lights and the way it shines, it's Joe's light shining onto Jerry's light and it's knocking it out. That's light pollution. That's when the light, it's taking control where the sun operated, the light operated the photo control on the light. Well, another light next to it is doing the same thing, and it's making that light not come on. Okay. The photocell, and I got one on a picture here for you. That's a photocell. It's a dusk till dawn control that goes on these fixtures. You can see this one here is a blue one. It's ranged from 105 volts to 305 volts. It says 1800 volts max. I think this photocell itself is designed to go on LED fixtures. And on top of these fixtures itself, you'll see a base like this, and you see it's got 3 little prongs, because there's 3 little prongs that plug in. You can see that kind of tip hanging down right there. It plugs into the top of this light, and of course that controls the light, whether it's on or off. When the sun comes up in the morning, it operates the photocell, and it opens it up inside, and it cuts the power off to the light. What direction do you think this photocell needs to be aimed when it's sitting up on the top of a light? There's only 4 choices.
East.
Negative.
South. West.
East.
There ain't but one left.
West.
North.
West.
No, you want to, and it actually says it's stamped on the top of that photocell. It says, the direction is north on there. And that's because you don't want it to, to stay off too long at sun, or you don't want it to stay on too long at sunrise when the sun's coming up, and you don't want it to come on, too late in the afternoon when the sun's setting. And pointing it north kind of gives it right there in the middle. Or you could actually point it south as well, but they suggest you point them in the northerly direction. So when it just starts getting light in the morning, it'll cut that light off. And in the evening, when the sun just starts setting below them trees, that's when you can know that light's going to come on. Any of you older guys grew up in a neighborhood, and you'll see, I watched a movie the other night that had this on there. And a lot of my friends, I didn't grow up in the city, I grew up in the country, and a lot of my friends that I had lived in town, and their folks told them they had to be in at a certain time during the summertime. What time do you think that was?
Before the street lights came on.
When the street lights came on. You better have your behind home before this street light comes on. That was the rule. But anyway, I guess if they got them to point it toward the west, it'd give the kids more time out there with their buddies and all. But anyway, you'll want to make sure that light is pointed, or that photo controller is pointed to the north. This is what we called a button photocell right here. These were on the decorative lights themselves. Really worked great. They got a little bit of a time delay built in, like a 30-second time delay built in before they will operate. And these over here, these are called shorting or bypass caps. If you had a whole bunch of lights on a circuit, on one circuit itself, and you wanted them all to come on at the same time, there was a control at the source where the transformer was. It was what we called a Rcoc switch, or it would be maybe a photocell on a base. And it's a high amperage photocell on a base that would come on, and all these lights would come on one time, and all that did was shunt the inside of that control right here. And when the one photocell came on, all the lights would come on. Okay. And like this little window right here is what lets the light in, and that's what makes it operate. Either it's on or off. In the early morning, you could hear a click on it. It'll go off. In the evening, you'll hear another click, and it'll come on. These are, and we didn't do it a whole lot. We tried the best we could. These, when you install these photo controls, they are under a warranty. I think that if maybe it had a 5-year warranty on it, and if it went out of warranty, they would replace. You'd send it in, and they would send you 2 for 1 when you send it in. So it wasn't a bad deal, because some of them can get expensive. These are 15 bucks a piece. These are 23. They can range on up into, you know, I ain't gonna say more than 100 bucks, but maybe 50, 60 bucks, depending on the application or what it's used for. So photo controls are the way that we control lighting on and off. Any questions about photo controls, guys? All right, we talked about that light pollution a little bit. There is a simple fix to the photo controls for the light pollution. Let me go back to my light pollution. There are 3 ways to correct this. Number 1, on that photocell base you saw right there, that photocell base, it is adjustable. You can twist it like 180 degrees one direction, 180 degrees the other direction. You can redirect the photo control. Okay, that's one way to do it. Shading. The next one is shading. There are different shades that can be installed over other fixtures to deflect the light away from it. Those open bottom lights that you saw, you can actually take and put a piece of metal. They made a metal shield that fit up inside. Or what we used to do, we used to paint. We take black paint and paint the inside of the that shield that was in the direction of the other light. So there are different ways to do it. Most of it's shading. Like I say, that's either with some kind of metal shade or with a black paint. Or the last one, very simple way, this is the most common. You can use black tape. What I say when I say black tape is on that photo control window, you can actually put black tape on like maybe half of this light, half of this little glass right here. You can tape it around it, and that'll help with that light pollution. Or you might have to cover up 3/4 of it to help control the light pollution. But using the black tape was the best way that we found to do it. It block out those, you know, the light to keep the light on. Okay. If you go to the light, and light pollution is really not the problem for repair with the light if you have trouble with it. These are the steps which you want to go for repair, and we're going to say, dang it, steps for repair. The first one, of course, we just talked about it, is check for light pollution. Rule that out to start with. Make sure there's not been another light put on close by. All right, you want to replace the photo control. You want to replace the lamp. And guys, what did I say the lamp was? The bulb. Anytime you hear somebody say lamp, that means bulb. Or you want to replace the head. The head or the fixture, whichever one it is, however they call it. Okay. That's if you go to a light that is cycling. Okay. Now, if you go to a light, for a light, let's see, repair light completely out. your first steps. Did I put that too close?
It's probably gonna be the photocell, right?
Could be. Repair light completely out. First thing, what do you think? What's your first one you're going to do? There's 6 steps. What'd you say it was going to be?
Photocell.
All right, you want to cover the photocell. If you cover the photocell and this and it doesn't click, if you don't hear any noise with it at all, then what you want to do is you want to replace the photocell. Okay, if you cover the photocell and it clicks, but the light doesn't come on, what's your next step? Replace the what?
Bulb.
Lamp. Yeah, the bulb. Okay. Normally, I'll say many times out of many times, just like the guy said a while ago, it's going to be either the photocell or the bulb or the lamp. That's a super easy fix. All right. Your next one, if it's not either one of those, you want to replace the ballast. All right. The ballast in a lot of these lights, like what we talked about, Elijah talked about, was the yard, the voltage in the light in the backyard's 120 volt. It's not going to be the ballast. It's going to be a very small ballast that works off of 120 volts, or you might have a Cobra Head, and it'll have in it what they call a multi-tap ballast, and it's anywhere from 120 volts up to 240. It may be a 208 light, it may be a 277 light, maybe a 480 light, but there'll be little taps on the ballast where you can actually, it's kind of like a transformer. You can actually change the voltage coming into that light. So the next step, like I said, right there, replace the ballast. If it's not the ballast, then you want to check voltage under load. And what I mean by that is, just like we taped up the photocell for the light pollution, we want to take and put a piece of black tape over the photocell, operate the light. That puts load on the fixture. You can actually watch this. If you got like little alligator clips, you can clip onto the terminals in the light. It'll show 120 volts. You cover up that photocell. If the wire is bad coming into the light itself, that voltage will drop down to probably 50 volts. The photocell is going to sound like a shuddering. It's just going to be click, 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 click real fast. And you'll know that you've got bad voltage coming into the light. Okay. If that's not what it is, your last option is to replace the fixture. That's, if all fails, replacing that fixture. The last thing here, guys, we're going to talk about is disposing of this stuff. When disposing damaged light fixtures or lamps, most utilities have a specific container for disposal. Kind of like what I talked about at the first time, when I talked about us breaking them bulbs in the trash can. At Duke, they have 55-gallon drums that are lined with plastic bags, I'd say. It's kind of like a huge bag that slides down inside that drum, and you fill it up with the bulbs, whether they're damaged or broke, whole bulbs. You want to fill that drum up and fold that plastic bag back over the top and then seal that drum. And they have, actually, there's a company that takes and buys these bulbs. They like the glass in it, and they will actually get rid of the gases in these lamps. They will separate the metal from the glass, and they will recycle all these parts, the gas and all. So they can be recycled. I know I've recycled many myself inside of a trash can before. So You want to do that, and it protects the environment. The company does get some money back on it when they do sell this stuff back to recyclers. They'll get a little money back. It's better than nothing. Or if it's not the bulb that you're disposing of, it's that fixture you're going away with. Duke has a metal. We had metal containers sit on the yard. We had two of them. We had one for regular like wood and cardboard and those kinds of things. And then we had a metal bin right next to it, and it was strictly for metal, any kind of wire. We dumped the light fixtures. We put everything in it that was not, wood or cardboard or anything like that. And that stuff got recycled as well. There's a big recycling company in North Carolina. All this stuff that goes to where they, and I'm pretty sure Duke gets a little bit of a kickback off from the resale of those metals anyways. Guys, anybody got any questions about any of that, about the repairing a light or the sizes or anything like that? For an assignment for this is what I would like you to do. If you guys have a light in your backyard, if you're anywhere there's a street light, I want you to take take your phone or camera, whatever, take a picture of that light and send it to the ELW Gmail with the picture in it. Just give a description. If it's got a yellow sticker on it, just say, hey, this is a open bottom sodium 100-watt fixture. Or if it's got a yellow 35 on it, we didn't talk about that one too much. That would be, and because those are older lights and they went straight to the 400, that would be a metal halide 350-watt fixture. So if you would, just go out there, take a picture, just send it in, and that way I'll know that you guys know, what we talked about this morning. We're still recording this. I'm gonna stop the recording in just a minute, and we'll post it out there today. But that's gonna be your assignment. Send us that picture so we can see, the type of lights that are out there around you. Just pick one. Don't want a light that's on the side of your house. I want a light that's on a pole. You guys got any questions about any of this?
Is the light project due today?
We can make it due by tomorrow, or if you like. Is that good for everybody? Tomorrow afternoon? Have it due by then?
I got one 20 feet from my front door, so I'm good whenever.
All right. Well, if you want to jump on
I'm
it,
good today too.
yeah, knock it out today. That's great. Just send me a picture and a brief description, and we'll be good to go. You guys, if you have any questions about it, just send me a remind, and I'll get on with you, and we'll talk about it. If you need any help, giving a description of the light. So any other questions or comments you guys want to make about lighting? No?
The lucrative business.
Lucrative.
Yeah.
Guys, it is a very lucrative business. They make tons of money. And they told that, and I'll tell you this part of it, they did back in the mid 90s, they did a program, they call it the Safe Shine program. And they actually got us, the linemen on the crew that weren't servicemen, and they did it with the servicemen too. And they gave us a sheet that had the price of lights. And they said, if you go out and install or working in an area and you see a customer that does not have lights, they wanted us to go knock on doors and ask customers that, if they wanted the area light. We went to car dealerships. We went to these little convenience stores. Anywhere that we saw that did not have lights, we talk them into the lighting. And then once a month, we'd send these sheets in, and then they would give us a little kickback for it, depending on the size of the light or whatever. And they'd give you a Visa card, which was reloadable. And I think the last time when they did, before the program ended, I had like $1,000 on my little card, and You could spend it anywhere that took Visa. So it is very lucrative. If they're going to pay, guys money, a salary, and then give them a little kicker bonus there to sell these lights on company time, and you could do it on your own time as well. It's a moneymaker, a lot of money. So, I mean, what these lights burn, it's minimal. It's minimal. But they told us at that time that lighting was the biggest part of revenue at that time for the company. And they made tons of money on it. And they still do today. All right, gentlemen, any other questions, comments? You got any concerns? You understand what we got to do as far as the little assignment, the lighting assignment?
We got field today, Chief.
No, we're not going out in the field today. We're done for today, as far as that goes.
No D2L either.
No, sir.
Sweet.
No D2L. Just send those pictures in, and you'll be getting a remind probably on Sunday for what our Monday will be, whether we're going to be Zooming in the mornings or we're going to go out to the field. I'm sure we're going to Zoom to talk about the switching of the lines that you guys built out there yesterday. And again, I do thank you for your hard work you guys put in out there doing that. And it looks good what you did. But anyways, I'm sure Shoemaker will let you know sometime on Sunday what the schedule is going to be starting Monday. And then we can work on getting the course wrapped up. So guys, if you don't have anything else, I'm going to stop share. If you need to go back to this,